So, Steve, I was in North Carolina this past weekend visiting our mutual podcast friend, Kendra, who we're about to talk Sharknado 5. Are we on Sharknado 5?
I think we're on 5.
Yeah. Okay. While I was down there, I wandered into a vintage game store and I found Lego Star Wars, the original trilogy on GameCube, and I had to buy it.
Oh, man. GameCube.
I had to buy it.
I mean, when did that come out? That was like GameCube was pre-Wii, right? That's like
2006. We came out 2006 because the year,
okay.
because it was like when I got married. And GameCube was it late 90s? GameCube I feel like had the shortest shelf life of any. Well, the Wii U. Other than that, I feel like GameCube.
Yeah, the Wii U was a hot minute.
Yeah, that was.
When I was ready to I think I might buy one. It was like, nah.
It was done. It was done.
Done quick, yeah.
Okay, GameCube came out in North America November 18th, 2001. So so it only had about a 5-year. I guess that's not terrible, but yeah, so my GameCube is still hooked up because GameCube is like my heart always pulls me back to the GameCube.
Oh my god!
And the other day I was like, you know what? We've been talking Star Wars Lego. I want to just play the original. I thought for sure I had it. I don't. I think I only ever played it on Wii, and it was not a fun play on Wii because it was not designed for the Wii. So when I saw it in that game store, I was like, I have to do it, and now I'm going to play it as it was meant to be played on a Nintendo GameCube.
Oh, that's awesome!
Yeah.
I miss GameCube.
I know. We had a lot of good times. X-Men Legends. Do you remember playing that in the cabin?
Oh, man. Hours and hours. I think I was Cable. Did I play as Cable? Was it Cable?
Oh, that could be. Let me see. I'm looking at the playable characters.
Maybe it was X-Men Legends 2 where you could play as Cable.
Oh, that could be.
But, man, that was a great game. Hours and hours of that game. That's a great couch co-op game. Oh, my goodness. So much fun.
Cable is playable in Legends 2, so that's
okay. So it was Legends 2. We played 1, and then sure when 2 came out, we just played right through that.
Yeah, I think 2 is the one that has Sunfire, who kept saying I require additional energy to do that. That's 2, and yeah, that's for Cable. So that's
yeah.
Lots of good GameCube memories, but I'm looking forward to getting into some Star Wars Lego as well.
Excellent. Oh man, that's awesome. What a find.
I know.
Welcome to This Endorian Life, a nostalgic podcast from the Radio Meanwhile Network. My name is Steve Rudd.
I'm Nick Gunning, and today we are settling in for some vintage Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh, yeah. We're turning our dials to NBC for the premiere episode of The Karate Kid. It's called My Brother's Keeper, and it originally aired on September 9th, 1989.
Yep.
We were young boys.
That's true. I guess first grade. Probably I was in first grade when this came out.
I was like 89. I was like 6.
Yeah. Yeah. The series was adapted from the popular film franchise The Karate Kid. Between 1984 and 2025, there have been 6 theatrical releases, a 6-season spin-off television series called Cobra Kai, and several video games. The animated series aired a total of 13 episodes on NBC, all in 1989, following the release of Karate Kid 3. While no official physical release has occurred, it's available for digital purchase on several sites at our time of recording. And I want to point out that it's like one of the things that Cobra Kai never really pulls in, but there is an Easter egg in season 3 when they go to the Miyagi-Do, like where it all began. And in Chosen's dojo, you do see the magical shrine is up on one of the shelves. So
no way.
So there is. Really? I'll send you a screenshot because it is fun.
Oh no, that's us though. It's such a deep.
Yeah. No, I know. I love it. I love it. So there is a little bit there. Today's episode was written by Michael Moore and Dorothy Middleton. It was directed by Larry Houston, who's best known for his work on X-Men: The Animated Series. The cast includes Robert Ito, who takes over the role of Mr. Miyagi, though Pat Morita does still do the initial narration at the beginning. So Pat
Okay,
Morita
that's
from the
why he's in
movies.
there. It says
Yeah.
he's in 13 episodes, and I'm like, how is he
Yeah.
in 13 episodes and Robert Ito also in 13
Yes.
episodes?
Well,
How did
it's
that work?
kind of like, remember the Back to the Future animated series, which we'll talk about eventually. Christopher Lloyd still did the wraparound segments as Doc Brown,
Yeah, but he didn't voice the cartoon. Yeah.
which I guess probably an easy paycheck for Pat Morita. They're like, read these two
Yeah.
sentences,
That's so true.
fine.
Yeah.
Joey
Grant.
DiDio takes over the role of Daniel LaRusso from Ralph Macchio. He also voiced Wheeler in Captain Planet. So if you're a fan of that era, the voice probably stood out to you.
Captain Planet.
That's right. We have Janice Kawaii as Taki Tamura, which is original to this show. She's not in any of the movies.
Okay. Okay, I didn't think so.
Yeah. Our Star Wars link this time around is voice actor Cam Clark. He's a legendary voice actor, voices lots of things. I knew him most as Leonardo from the Ninja Turtles, which is fun because James Avery, who voices Shredder, is also in this episode.
Yes, he is.
But Cam Clark voices Kala in this episode, and he's had several Star Wars roles over the year, most notably voicing Ty Cordon in the games Star Wars: The Old Republic and Knights of the Fallen Empire.
Man, James Avery, when that voice came up, I was
Yeah.
like, whoa.
As soon as he starts, I know.
James Avery.
Yeah.
I mean, we've heard him so many times.
I know, it's true. Tell me about your Karate Kid experience. Were you familiar with the show? Did you watch the movies? I knew you watched Cobra Kai.
Yeah, I watched the movies when I was young. I watched 1 and 2, and then I didn't watch 3, I think, till I was in college.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, there's a third one, and I was like, oh, okay, that one wasn't for me. I didn't really enjoy it as much. But you said that there's 5, right? Because you're including the one that's coming out.
There's 6, including Karate Kid Legends.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought the one with Jackie Chan. I mean, it's really like the Shanghai Kid.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't it in China?
Well, he does kung fu, not karate. Yeah.
He does kung fu, right? Yeah. I enjoyed that one. I thought it was really good, but I to this day I'm like, yeah.
Well,
it's like in name only is it Karate Kid.
Yes, but I have seen Karate Kid Legends, and it was a very good time. I mean, it relies a lot on nostalgia, but it was a lot of fun. But Legends makes it so that Jackie Chan's Shifu Han and Mr. Miyagi were old friends, and they use a story that's actually in Karate Kid 2, where the Miyagi family gets like shipwrecked in China, and they take that lore and they connect that to Jackie Chan's character from the Jaden Smith movie, and like kind of bring it all full circle. So now the Jaden Smith one kind of makes sense, and they do a thing where Daniel's kind of teaching the karate elements of it, and Jackie Chan's character, Mr. Han, is teaching the kung fu elements, and so the new character is kind of taking both worlds in.
Mixed martial arts. Man, that is like I feel like I don't know why, but like the Karate Kid IP is just such a basic IP.
I know.
Right?
I know.
But somehow they're able to draw in and bring in all these characters. And I mean, it really comes to fruition in the Cobra Kai series that like so many, it's not just member berries, right? Where there's like little things where you're like, oh, remember that. They draw in characters and either bring them to life again, like revive them, or they're worked in still as their same character with the same kind of struggle, with Terry Silver and stuff like that, how they're kind of able to just bring him back, and he's able to just like 30 years later, just reprise his role. Like he never left. He's been the same guy.
It's crazy.
It's just amazing. And Kreese too.
Kreese, yeah. Cobra Kai really made it so there was a Karate Kid lore. And I feel like when it was just the classic movies, that wasn't really a thing. There was no Karate Kid world, not really. But Cobra Kai, the way it's like, I think Karate Kid 3 is pretty much, most people are kind of like, yeah, that one's not great. But so much of Cobra Kai hinges on Karate Kid 3 and the Terry Silver character. It's funny that, like, in hindsight, that's now become the super important part. Yeah, I watched the originals. We rewatched them recently. Like I showed my son these movies, and Yeah, I had seen them, but really my memories were all coming from Karate Kid 1. Like that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
one that like sticks in my mind the most. I don't think I had seen the next Karate Kid, which is the one where Hilary Swank, like Miyagi goes to visit friends and meets the Hilary Swank character.
Yes.
And then then we have the Jaden Smith, Jackie Chan one, and then we have Legends, which kind of folds
Legends.
all the worlds, including Cobra Kai, like in together,
Yeah.
which is super cool. I didn't watch this cartoon. I don't think I was even aware of it
I didn't either.
until recently, really, like looking into Karate Kid stuff. So, and watching it, I understand why it wasn't a runaway hit.
Yeah. Yes.
It's
I
okay.
I have to say, just right off the bat, even before we go into the uber detailed plot, I wonder why they picked this episode to be the first episode.
Agreed, because it does not set up the premise well at all.
It doesn't set up the premise. It doesn't introduce the characters, and this is. I feel like a lot of shows have done this before, right? Where you watch that first episode and you're like, "Whoa!" You're just thrown into it, and then the next episode they do a lot more character development, and you're like, "How in the world did that happen?" Where like this episode became the first one. Meanwhile, the second and third episodes kind of seem like a natural first. They did it with Star Trek. I mean, that's like on my mind, like first, one of the shows where it was kind of like you watch the first episode and you're like, whoa. And then the second and third episode, you're like, oh, okay, like this is how the show should have started.
Right. Well, I think, you think about like Firefly, which also was aired out of sequence. And because it was like, this is the one that seems like it's the most action packed or the most engaging. So let's put that up first and then kind of go back and do the work.
Yeah.
But this to me, I don't know. Maybe we should just go through the uber detailed plot and then we can get into the problem. So, take it away. Give it to me.
We'll talk about specific parts then. All right. The uber detailed plot of Karate Kid, Episode 1, My Brother's Keeper. Miyagi, Daniel, and Taki head on a raft down a jungle river in search of a shrine that for some reason is affecting animals.
I guess.
Meanwhile, on the shoreline, a boy is chased by tribal hunters. He uses an artifact to call down birds onto the hunters and escapes. This action lets Miyagi know the shrine is near. They flip their raft accidentally and quickly swim to shore just in time to rescue the boy from the hunters, but unfortunately, Miyagi is kidnapped. Daniel and Taki are introduced to Kala. They find out he's an outcast from his village, but won't say why. Back at the village, Miyagi meets the leader, Noah, chief of the Jaguar tribe. But Miyagi overhears the villagers and knows the boy is the true leader, meaning Noah is a usurper. Miyagi escapes his alligator trap, and the hunters believe he's been eaten. Miyagi finds Kala's hideout and shows Daniel and Taki the shrine he's been looking for. Kala had it all along, using its power. For Kala to become leader, he must show the village that he is strong. The next day, they begin to build a raft to prepare to leave, and Miyagi informs Daniel of what he found out in the village. Later, Kala and Daniel try to confront some random hunters in the woods, and Daniel discovers Kala is a coward. Daniel decides to teach Kala how to be brave. Miyagi says he needs to choose to be brave, not be taught.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel's training goes sour on the log roll, and Kala runs away, unfortunately, right into a village hunter. Using what he has already learned, he foolishly announces to the hunter he's ready to challenge Noah tonight to be leader. Daniel must think of a plan because he believes Kala isn't ready for the challenge. That night, in a disguise, Daniel-san confronts Noah, nearly beating him. However, Kala is discovered and captured. With the shrine now in Noah's hands, he uses the power to transform into a jaguar. Kala is bound, but cleverly manages to escape. He grabs the shrine and runs off to warn his new friends about Noah. In the jungle, Jaguar Noah attacks Miyagi, Daniel, and Taki. When it looks like they may fail, Kala appears. Using the shrine, he ends Noah's jaguar form and challenges him, but the shrine falls into the river flowing downstream. Kala fights bravely, but is clearly overpowered. Kala is backed onto a log in the river. Quickly, he uses what he learned from Daniel's training to roll Noah into the river, who's nearly eaten by alligators, when Miyagi saves him. With Kala reinstated as the Jaguar tribal chieftain, Miyagi, Daniel, and Taki take off on their newly built raft to continue their search for the shrine. Daniel admits that even though Kala succeeded, he still feels like he failed as a teacher. Miyagi replies that succeeding and failing is how you become the teacher. That, and keeping an eye on the river. Roll credits.
Bananas first episode.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I really, you know what's funny? There was a lot going on in this episode, and it was really hard. I felt like there were times where I was like, what is this episode really about? Right? And
you got me.
I hate it when, like, actually, what I loved about the Ewoks episode is they kind of made it obvious up front. Like,
yeah, true.
This episode is going to be about lying. This episode is going to be about teamwork.
Yes.
For this, I was like, what is this episode about? Is it about courage? Is it about Daniel's son? Is it about, like, finding the shrine? Like, because it was kind of like about finding the shrine, and then it just wasn't about finding the shrine.
Right.
And, like, at the end of that episode, it was kind of like, well, see you guys later. We experienced all that, but I don't really care about that because I still care about the shrine. Yeah. And it was like, what are they going to do with the shrine? Obviously, it belongs to this tribe. So, I don't know. It's like this weird. I was like, what is this episode trying to be? And I thought all along, in addition to those things, why was this the first episode?
Yeah, I think that is probably the most baffling thing because, you know, it came out in 1989, same year as Karate Kid 3.
Yeah.
And so all the imagery of like the Miyagi dojo and like the bonsai trees and all that would have been like right in people's minds. So I don't know why this doesn't start in the Miyagi dojo. Like why, like if you're, I am okay with them being on a quest to get this artifact. Yeah. Like, you know, that's kind of a big swing, but it makes sense. But I don't understand why you wouldn't start that in the dojo, and maybe he gets a letter, you know, from
or a call
tied
into
Karate Kid 2, and so they're like, Daniel, you know, we got to go after this thing because there is precedence for that because they pick up and go in Karate Kid 2 when they get, you know, this alert from Miyagi's village and everything. So, you know, I think something like that could work, but. It's funny you're comparing it, you know, negatively to the Ewok show because I was thinking this has a lot of the same problems as Droids. First of all, terrible theme song, just like Droids.
Yeah.
2, it's really not about Daniel or Miyagi. To your point, like that's not really what the focus is, you know. And in the movies, Miyagi really is a supporting character. It's like Daniel's journey, you know. And this show focused so much on Kala and this tribe and like their internal struggle and everything that there's no real character development for Daniel. There's no real karate to speak of. And they're not doing anything that we've really seen them do in the movies. So like, I just don't understand why you wouldn't just take off right from Karate Kid 3. You know, they open the store, like, you know, have a couple episodes where Daniel's just dealing with like ruffians in town. You don't have to like reinvent this wheel. Like it works. It works.
And it's strange to me too, like the realism aspect of it too, that like, and I think they kind of brought that up even in Cobra Kai. They were like, listen, man, you just won one thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know, and it's like here immediately, like he's in the jungle fighting, like apparently it's the 1989.
Yeah.
In this jungle, and there are literally like tribal loincloth people whose muscles are freaking huge.
I know.
So I just think of in the book timeline where Michael Crichton, when the one scientist talks about how like he's like, I'm strong, but like these people are so much stronger than me. Because like I go and you know, he's like, I treat my body well and I work out, but these people, like this blacksmith is like wielding a freaking 50-pound hammer all day. So he's very, you know, like swords and armor, and they're wearing, and that just, I always bring that into my mind with like, this is a hunter.
I know.
He's a lot stronger than you, Daniel. You won a competition like 3 months ago in a high school, like All Valley. Like it's just like, to me, it's just like, all right, it doesn't translate into the real world. And so like, when that first encounter happens and he's like, you know, and I'm just like, oh boy. And of course, Miyagi has to come and say almost every time, right? There's that like, Miyagi saves them.
I hate it.
Literally like 3 or 4 times. Yeah. He kind of comes in out of nowhere and you're like, oh, we're doing this again. This is the same episode. It's like the 3rd time.
I know.
He saves them in the jungle like twice off the top of my head. I know. And then on that, log over the flaming.
Don't get me started on that. That one made me angry. And yeah, I mean, you're right. I looking at cartoons in this area, you expect a little bit of cultural insensitivity because it just, people weren't thinking of that sort of thing. But it is kind of funny because they're just in South America, and like there's this very primitive tribe, and it's like I don't really know, like they never really addressed that at all. It just seems like to them all of South America are these like magical like leopard people. It was a little like it was a little cringy, and that mystical magical element also completely non-existent in the Karate Kid movies. So the fact that this whole thing is about a magic shrine is weird. It's weird.
It's weird. It's a little. This was a pull. Like this feels like a filler episode, probably like episode 8 or 9, of like a 12 season, 13 season, or episode season.
I just don't like if you were a kid at this time, a fan of the movies, and you watch this show. I think you'd be very confused about what's going on, and like the characterizations feel very off to me. Daniel's okay, but Miyagi being like a super nimble, super karate legend is a little odd.
It feels like it should be an episode of like Captain Planet, and instead of an idol, it's like a artifact that's like polluting something.
Right.
That would make so much more sense, right? All you got to do is just recycle that, and then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, I get it. It makes sense. Now they need to find it because it's causing like devastation in the forest or something. And now it's going downstream, continuing to the next episode.
It's funny because there's a lot of Ninja Turtle voice cast in this, and you think about like the classic 80s Ninja Turtle show, and they did, they went to other dimensions and things. There was that kind of thing. But like 90% of the time, those episodes are just the Turtles dealing with like some street level issue or whatever. And I just really, really think that you could have done that with this show.
Yeah, just bring it home. Just make about everyday life as Daniel-san.
He's constantly getting into scrapes and stuff. You could have reintroduced Johnny Lawrence as like a foil for this, or whatever.
Oh, that would have been so great. Yeah. It's weird because I like how you mentioned that like the Turtles movies, they do go interdimensional.
Yeah.
Right? But then the show is very
most of the time it's just real. Yeah, it's real basic. So I don't know. I guess
the exact opposite.
Again, it's like a broken record. I thought we were going to escape some of this by branching out into other fandoms, but it really does feel like why not just make a Karate Kid show rather than whatever the heck this is? This globe-trotting adventure looking for like magical artifacts and stuff. It's just like that's just not in the DNA at all. So I was kind of disappointed because Cobra Kai kind of got me back into the zone of Karate Kid, and I really loved Legends. It was just like, I love this franchise, and so popping into this, I just, not a fan, which is a shame. I feel like we've kind of covered all of these, but give me your Okavark moment. What stood out to you as the worst?
One specific thing that bugged me when it happened. Well, I think of like an idiot plot, right? When a plot that only works if everyone's an idiot.
Sure.
And then like the whole thing where Kala's like, Miyagi, how did you find me? And he's like, well, I wasn't tracking Kala, I was tracking
Daniel's tennis shoes. Yeah.
You don't think the hunters whose job is to hunt and like their life depends? I mean, they're pretty good looking.
They seem to be good hunters.
I think they're well fed.
They're doing all right.
Really good.
They're doing all right.
They couldn't find Daniel.
I know.
When I heard that, I was just like, "Oh, come on, man! Like, I'm not an idiot. All
the hunters are like, no, ignore these tennis shoes. We're just looking for feet prints.
We don't know what that is.
We've never seen that before. Yeah,
that's no animal.
Pretty stupid.
That's to me. That's and then like that was just one specific thing where I was just like, ugh, I can't. I hate it when they do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was just this episode. Like,
yeah.
I don't think. I think the episode was not great.
Yeah.
But I think what pulls it down even more is this is the introductory episode.
Right.
And I think it loses points even for me because of that as well. That, this is like your interview. This was a really bad interview for the rest of the show. And if like I'm a kid, 6-year-old, actually I would have been 5 years old in 11 months. I probably, if I was a fan at that point, let's just say I watch it in syndication 10 years later, I'd have been like, this isn't for me, man.
No,
This is
no,
not
no.
Karate Kid. You
Well,
lost me,
it's
right? And so
confusing. It's confusing from the start because
yeah,
nothing. I mean, okay, you have Mr. Miyagi and Daniel recognizable. That's fine, but beyond
yeah,
that, nothing makes sense. There were several things. It was hard to narrow down, but I do think there were no cool fight scenes.
no,
It
no,
really
really.
was not like that. That wasn't really a thing. Like the action was not there. Daniel is wearing multiple loincloths in this episode. Also,
It was
he's really cut, and he's got two separate loincloths that he wears. But I have to give it to the scene where Daniel is about to fight Noah, I think, on that log, and they've got the sticks and everything. And they think it's Kala, and the mask comes off, and it's revealed to be Daniel. I really thought, okay, now they're going to get into it. Miyagi just comes out of nowhere, like flying through the
yeah.
air and kicks the guy in the face, and that's the end of the scene.
Keiko kick, man. This is flying like from the Pink Panthers,
Yeah.
just flying through the
Yes.
air, like
So that's it for me because I thought finally at least we're going to get a cool scene. And just a Deus Ex Miyagi just flying right through the air, and then that's it. So that was really disappointing for me. I struggled more to find an Ichiwawa moment. Did you find one?
Yeah, mine was hearing James Avery. That when I heard that, I was like, "Whoa, whoa!" And then I went to IMDb right away, and I was like, "Yep, okay, that's exactly who I thought it was." Yeah, I was like, "Oh man, James Avery does his voice," and I was like, "Oh yes."
Yeah.
It's the quintessential bad guy voice.
Yep.
From the late 80s, early 90s.
I remember
he's in every show.
He is, and it really blew my mind when I learned that Uncle Phil from the Fresh Prince was the Shredder from Ninja Turtles because I was not,
too.
you know what I mean?
No way.
Obviously,
no
he's not even changing his voice. It's so obvious, but like I just never put those things together, and then when I did, it really blew my mind. And now every time I watch the Turtles, I picture Uncle Phil. So
I know it's so great.
That's something.
Oh, it is funny. It's funny. It's so recognizable.
Yeah.
Though.
All right. That's a good one. That is a good one.
What about you?
I've kind of talked myself out of this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't hate the concept of them going on this adventure trying to find this object. Like I think as far as premises go, to have Daniel and Miyagi, you're putting them in a different setting every time. That could be fun. So I'm still going to stick with that, but I feel like they bungled the introduction so hard. It could have been something that we'd seen in the movies. They could have tied it in because we spend a lot of time in that place, and Mr. Miyagi's going through pulling out artifacts and things. That happens a couple of times, so they could have tied it into something we've already seen, and so you have a little bit of buy-in. I think if they would have grounded it with the dojo that we know, and Mr. Miyagi's home, the garden Daniel builds, and all that. If we would have started there, and something would have pulled them away from that setting to then go on these adventures, I could have been a little bit more on board. So I'm still going to say okay for a premise, terrible execution.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think too, it's they never really set up that there, we talk about in Ewoks when the show started, there was always a moral lesson. Where in this one, like I said earlier, there was no introduction of like, okay, obviously this is going to be the lesson to be learned. They could have done that in the very beginning and they didn't. And then you're introduced to the lesson that was learned 30 seconds before the episode ends, and you're kind of like
about Daniel's teaching, right? About like he has to sort of the other person has to go a little. It was clumsy.
I mean, Miyagi said it. He's like, oh no, he has to choose, and it's just like, okay, that's fine, and it's just like, but it was also, what was the episode about getting the artifact?
Yeah,
or was it about the moral lesson, or was it about helping a friend? Because I mean, it's the episode is called "My Brother's Keeper," and it's just like, what does that have to do with anything?
I
like,
don't know.
Nobody's a brother. Nobody's keeping their brother. No one's looking after their brother. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, are Noah and Kala brothers? Is that?
I don't think so.
But even if that were true, nobody's keeping anyone. Yeah. That's also a head scratcher. So, how many yub nubs do you give this?
I mean, like I said, I think the introducing this one as the first episode really pulled it. I give it a 2 out of 5. Man, I was thinking probably 2.5, but since it's the first episode, and it's just like, nope. This was your interview, and you bombed your interview, man.
I'm going to go harsher and say 1 because I just nothing about this made me want to watch episode 2.
Yeah. That's so true.
So, I just don't like it. So,
that's how you make or break a show, right? Because if the second episode is really not kind of what people wanted, then that's it. You're done, right? It's why go to episode 3? It's like, no, guys, episode 3 is great. Why didn't you make that episode 1 then?
Yeah.
And if not, why didn't you make it episode 2 so that I kind of half of the people are gonna watch episode 2 that watched episode 1, because obviously the show is not for the show seems to not be for Karate Kid fans, but for like just a traditional Saturday morning cartoon
kids who love cartoons that suck. I guess.
Who love cartoons. Yeah. It's like, So
I don't know.
It does remind me of like a Captain America episode, Captain Planet episode. So it's just like, okay, like maybe if I'm a Captain Planet fan and I watch this episode, I'm like, ooh, the Karate Kid is fun and I like it. But it's still not. Then if I'm a kid, I'm like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I go and watch the Karate Kid, and I'm like, whoa, this is not what I was expecting. It's completely different than the cartoon show,
exactly. And like you said earlier, the concept of them going after this shrine, like, why do they want it? Why do they care? Like, whose is it? Like, what is their connection to it?
Them,
right. Yeah. So it's like, I don't even understand their buy-in for it. So how am I supposed to? But anyway, this does not dampen my enjoyment of the Karate Kid franchise, and I highly recommend Karate Kid Legends. It was very fun. I think it's just a fun popcorn kind of movie, and the nostalgia of seeing Jackie Chan just back on screen. I'm a Jackie Chan fan, so just having Jackie Chan again was worth it, and having Daniel come in, Ralph Macchio come back and reprise that character. Not going to give anything away, but there are some fun. If you're a Cobra Kai fan, I think there are things for you to enjoy here. I was worried that that they weren't going to mesh, but they did. So yeah, I still love the franchise, and good news, the Karate Kid fun doesn't stop here, because we're lightly crossing over with But Have You Tried from the David A. Howe Public Library, and here's Allie Fesmeyer with all the details.
Hey, this Endorian Life listeners, this is Allie from But Have You Tried? Be sure to check out part 2 of this Karate Kid discussion when Nick and I dive into the very first Karate Kid movie, which I'll be watching for the first time. Listen to But Have You Tried from the David A. Howe Public Library wherever you get your podcasts.
I've never seen the first movie. Dang. Allie. Oh, come on.
I know. But so we're going to find out. We're going to find out if she likes it or not. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think she will. I think she will, because it holds up. It's just
it holds up. Yeah,
it's a classic. Yeah, it's classic found family. It's underdog. It's like unexpected mentor kind of thing. All this stuff. The performances are great. Macchio's great in it. Pat Morita's great in it. I think it's all there, but we'll find out. Next time for us, we will be heading back to a galaxy far, far away with Lego Star Wars: The Padawan Menace.
Ooh, I can't wait.
I know, I'm excited. And I'm going to play my Lego Star Wars game, so nothing but good things ahead.
Nothing but good things. All right. All right, well, I'll see you then.
Okay.
This Endorian Life was brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. Be sure to check out some of the other shows on the network, like 9021 Here We Go, or previously on X-Men. Please rate, subscribe, and share the show wherever you get your podcasts.